All right. Hello and welcome back to that WNBA podcast. I'm your host, Jan From. Welcome to the new year. Welcome to 2025 and welcome back to that WNBA podcast. I know it's been a while, but remember that this is the place where we dive deep into the WNBA and celebrate these incredible athletes, this incredible league, and dive into everything from the incredible stories, the incredible games, trades, drafts, everything WNBA. Whether you're new to the league, whether you're new to the sport, hopefully I'll have you covered in all things related to this great game. And let's tip off. Please remember to subscribe to the podcast, first of all. On any of your podcasting platforms, you can get this, everywhere except Apple. It's turned out to be a little bit of a hard ongoing issue, but you can get this on YouTube. You can follow me on Twitter at the WNBA podcast, on Instagram, and everywhere else you can get your podcasts from, including Spotify, YouTube, all those places. So, without any further ado, let's get into it. Look, I know I've been gone for a while. It's been a really, really, really hectic end to 2024 and a really busy start to 25. Like I kept saying, life kind of really got in the way. But as you can see, new studio, new light, new mic, hopefully better audio, and hopefully this is a better quality product that you guys will want to tune into. Look, a lot has happened since I last spoke to all of you. A lot in the way of sport, in the way of life, in the way of the WNBA. We all know, hopefully, about everything going on in LA at the moment. I'm filming this, obviously, a few days after that all kicked off, and I want to give everyone listening from LA, or anyone who's got family over there, my heartfelt condolences, and I wish everyone there all the best in their rebuilding efforts. Being from Australia, we have a lot of experience with fires, so we can definitely relate and know what's kind of happening there in the States and California. So I wish you all the best. Hopefully, to whatever podcast you listen to, and whatever can kind of take you away from what's happening there at the moment. Hopefully you can enjoy this and maybe take your mind off anything else that's happening in the world currently, and hopefully most of you have had an okay start to the new year. So with that in mind, as I said, let's tip off into all things WNBA. There's been a lot going on since I left last. Obviously, the WNBA finals, we know what happened there. The New York Liberty, of course, won that matchup. In the end, it was a little tougher than I thought. Obviously, Sabrina had that that last game kind of struggle. We know she dealt with an injury throughout that. And look, I think she was incredible the whole way through the season. I know some people kind of made some fun of her in the end there, relating to, Klay Thompson and in the NBA and that relationship there, and in how poorly he shot in his last elimination game for the Warriors. But I don't think too much into that. Even greats have bad games. As long as you win the ultimate title, the ultimate goal, I don't think it really matters too much what sort of shooting performance you had in that last game. With that in mind, of course, they won as I predicted. I think throughout the WNBA season, I did think that they would end up playing the Fever. That wasn't the case, of course, and they had a much tougher matchup than I expected. But I'm really happy for the New York Liberty. I think the whole season was fantastic. I think the product ended up being great. We know how much Caitlin Clark contributed to that, and Angel Reese, and that whole kind of new influx of players and fans. But I think overall, the whole season was just incredible. And I hope we can keep going in that direction. And, I don't want to focus on that part of things too much because it's obviously been quite a while since that's happened. I haven't made a podcast in a while. this is podcast 11 overall. I'm going to be trying to keep these going once a week. And hopefully I've got something up my sleeve. I'm kind of working on putting a bit of a network together where I can talk about all sorts of other women's sports, because as you know, I'm passionate about all sorts of sport, and in particular women's sport, whether that's women's soccer, women's cricket, women's AFL here in Australia, tennis. I've played and watched a number of sports over the years, and I think in a lot of places they're really undervalued, they're undersold, and I think we need to celebrate these incredible women a lot more today in our society and in our sporting kind of world. So I'm working on something. It's going to take a little while probably for me with my day job to get it going. It won't be very fancy, but hopefully it'll have the kind of the simple starting value of a little network where I can do some more podcasts and some more content that encompasses all of women's sports. So if you want to check that out, stick around. Hopefully it won't take me too long, and then I can reveal kind of what I'm working on. Don't expect anything too crazy. I'm obviously doing this on the side. You can see that I film out of my kind of office area, spare bedroom. So, it's going to be this same sort of setup. Don't expect any fancy recording studios, anything like that, unless obviously you would like to help me out and support me, and then maybe one day we can grow this into something much greater. But at the moment, this is what we've got. I've invested in a new camera, in a new microphone, and hopefully you guys can enjoy this podcast now a lot more. So moving on to things that have happened kind of at the end of 2024, moving into 2025. And the big thing, of course, was the WNBA draft. And for those of you who have listened previously, I don't think that it'll be a surprise to you that I'm a Dallas Wings fan. I'm a huge Dallas Mavericks supporter in the NBA. And being from Australia, born in Germany originally, I followed Dirk, obviously got really lucky now with Luka in the NBA. And I've kind of just moved that over into all other kind of, American sports and American-based teams. So I, especially the Texas teams. So I have definitely followed into the Dallas Wings kind of bandwagon, if you want to call it that. But as soon as I started following sport in the States, because of that Dallas connection, I, of course, gravitated to the Wings. And we've been lucky enough to have kind of a German player in Satu Sabali at the Wings, which is something we'll get into a little later here. But, of course, we had the NBA draft, the WNBA draft. And with that, the Dallas Wings had a very good chance at winning the lottery and getting the number one pick, because they also had a pick from another team, which I can't remember right now off the top of my head. It's been so long. But they had very good odds to win the lottery. I think they had the best odds, and they ended up coming away with that number one pick. And I've talked about it in other episodes. We've discussed it. We all know how much I was hoping dearly that we would get that number one pick. And we all know why. And that is because somebody really special is going to be going number one in the upcoming draft. And, some people want to talk around it and make some kind of conspiracy theories on why it possibly won't be what everybody thinks. But all accounts lead to Paige Beckers from the Yukon Huskies declaring for the WNBA draft at the end of the season. Obviously doing really well this college season so far, apart from that little injury scare, but it seems like that's going to be okay. And yeah, to all accounts, she's going to declare for the draft. And if that's the case, she will be the number one pick. Okay. She will go as number one, and that pick is going to the Dallas Wings. And honestly, I can't wait. Her new PE in the shoe department. She was the first college player, we've talked about this previously, to get their own PE and women's college basketball player. and I bought it over here in Australia. It's fantastic. The colorway is exquisite. It's, everything you would want. I love. I kind of used to wear a lot of black throughout my kind of teenage and young adult years, and I still do. I mean, black goes with everything. But shoes is the one place since I've kind of started collecting in the shoe realm where I like bright, vibrant colors. My favorite player, Luca, a lot of his shoes, he seems to like, vibrant, bright colors as well. So I've kind of gravitated towards that, and the kind of pink colorway with all the homages to her, zip codes, and Yukon and where she's from. And paid buckets, on the back of the shoe, on the heel of the shoe, all those things are kind of incredible. I love that shoe. It's very comfortable. I don't play a lot of basketball anymore, so I use them a lot as a lifestyle shoe. I know that used to be a trend that's kind of finished. I really don't care. I think most basketball shoes now, you can kind of get away as wearing as a sneaker. They look so similar, and I've taken that on. So I'm a huge Paige Beckers fan. I think she can do maybe not quite as much as Caitlin Clark, but I think she can definitely follow on from all that hype. I think she is, and I got to be careful here because Caitlin Clark is a generational talent. She is generational in the way that she's brought viewership and audiences to the WNBA. But Paige Beckers is all around when you take away the shooting threes and the excitement. She is maybe just shy, but all around, probably almost just as good a player as Caitlin Clark, in my opinion. I think she's more taking away the injury problems and the injury kind of scary side of things, which is the only reason why she may not be picked as number one if anything were to happen. I think she still would. I think you would risk that absolutely 100%. But I think overall her body is more ready for the WNBA. I think she's filled out a little more. I think she's a little more athletic in a lot of ways. She's got the handle and the mid-range. And, her three-point shooting is nothing to sneeze at. So I really think she'll go number one. Seeing a lot of people saying, look, the Valkyries with the expansion should have got her, or she is an LA Sparks girl. She should delay for another year. As far as I know, this was her last year. She went in for another year. I don't think she can extend another year. I know people talked about COVID and blah, blah, blah. I don't think that's the case. And if I'm wrong, I don't think she's going to do that just to get to the Sparks, because they will have Cameron Brink next season because of that kind of long span between WNBA seasons. She's already working out kind of going towards the unrivaled lead, even though she won't be playing. So you really don't know if you're going to delay another year, whether the Sparks are going to get the number one pick regardless. If you go to Dallas now with something we'll get into later, but with Satu probably leaving, you're going to be the franchise player. The team was in the semifinals of the WNBA a mere 2 years ago, before Satu's kind of shoulder injury. They've got an all-around okay roster. I know people say that with Arike or Gumbawali there, she will take up a lot of the shots, but I think that you really have to talk to her if you're the Dallas franchise, who, by the way, have new executives, who've got a new coach that seems very promising, a young coach. I think you really have to tell Arike, look, you're going to be a shooting guard, but Paige is going to run this offense, and you can't be taking 30 shots a game, bombing them from absolutely everywhere. It has its place at times, but you just can't be doing that 24/7. I also think that, Paige being a guard, she's going to have the ball a lot easier than kind of Satu, who's still, even though she's all around great player, she's still a forward. You need to give her that ball. She can't just initiate an offense for you as easily. And yeah, I think, look, if you're Paige, I think you'd want to go there. Dallas is still a great, sports town. I think it's great to put the basketball side of things back on the map. The Mavs have been doing so much better. They're working towards a championship with Luka and Kyrie, to another championship And if you just forget the Cowboys, the Rangers obviously winning their first World Series not long ago, I think it could come together really, really well. I think you'd be looking at that. There's, great incentives. I'm sure she'll be making a lot of money out of Nike deals. I think she'll get her own signature shoe. I can't see that not happening. And there's always time to go to LA down the track if it doesn't work out. And I don't think you can really have that sort of, ambience and, that sort of kind of pull and whatnot and just say, look, I'm not coming, pick somebody else. I think in a league that's kind of struggled and that's just coming up, I think everyone would be telling Paige, and I don't know Paige personally, obviously, I don't know what her thoughts are, but I think that she will go. I think she's the type of person that will want to go and lead a franchise to a title, and I think she's got the tools to do that. I think the Wings have got the tools to do that. And I think with Satu going, they will also have the tools to do that, as much as I'm a little disappointed there. But as far as I can tell, Paige is going to the Wings. If not, also, of course, Juju is right up there. I imagine she would be going number 2. Not sure what the consensus is on that, but she's also obviously a very talented player and really talented in the fact that she's in the bigs department, which is something with obviously Satu leaving in some of the roster spaces at the Wings, something that could help the Wings out anyway, regardless. So regardless, I think the Wings are going to come out really well in the draft. I would be very surprised, though, if they don't get Paige. I am hoping with all my heart that Paige will be a Dallas Wing in the coming season. I'm really looking forward to that draft. And yeah, look, I think all arrows point that direction. I will be getting me all of the Paige Becker's Dallas Wings merch I can muster. And hopefully Nike decide to manufacture more of that right from the beginning this time, instead of waiting so long with Caitlin and kind of underestimating that popularity. So I'm really looking forward to what that's going to do for the league, etc. And can't wait to see what the future there brings. After that, now moving kind of from that draft lottery into free agency, which the big domino that has fallen so far, of course, is Satu leaving the Dallas Wings. By all accounts, she has told reporters, from what I've heard, that she's played her last game for the Dallas Wings. And look, as a Dallas Wings supporter, I'm incredibly disappointed. They've drafted her. They've given her everything she's wanted. She's been the franchise player. She's of kind of German origin. With Dirk there, she seemed to really take that on and kind of that pride for the German national team. I really don't know what the problem there was. I mean, the season didn't go great, but you've just found out that you're going to be getting Paige. Maybe that's taken away from your kind of personal spotlight. But if you want to win a ring, of course you could go to New York. I don't know what the cap situation's like there. I'd have to do more research. But you're going to New York to play with your sister. You may not win another ring because the rest of the league is kind of catching up. And you have to divide that rock between Satu, Sabrina, Brianna Stewart, all those players. It can get a bit difficult with the amount of money that you want. I know New York is kind of that big city, but Dallas has given you everything that you've asked for from all accounts. I don't know why she wouldn't be happy there. Dirk's there. It seems like a good franchise to be at the moment. Looking forward, you've found out you're getting Paige, so really your roster is looking great for the future, and building from that. But look, by all accounts, she's decided to move on. So if we get into the rumors, and this is by no means gospel. I know that this is still a rumor, but from what I know, she has played her last game, and she's going to be a very coveted free agent. So she did receive and accept the core designation from the Wings. And I don't know if she had to accept that. She seems to have accepted it happily. And I think maybe that's a little bit of payment back to the Wings to kind of get something out of her after what they've done for her. But essentially, it allows the Wings to trade her and receive compensation rather than just losing her without anything. So it's a bit like being either a restricted free agent in the NBA, or even more closely related to kind of a sign and trade. So, we'll trade you somewhere where you want to go, as long as we can work together to get something back for you without, losing everything. And something I've seen a lot is that she's gaining a lot of attention from the Indiana Fever. And, I still love Satu as far as I can tell. She's a lovely person. She seems great in every way. And if she was to team up with Caitlin Clark, I would totally still support her. I love Caitlin. I love Satu. I think they would really go great together. And I think it would build the Indiana Fever up. And I can't see why that team wouldn't be even more improved heading into the playoffs next year. And she's obviously probably expected to receive a supermax. So that would be around the $250,000, just shy of that dollar mark. So that's the maximum salary under the league's bargaining agreement at this point. The Wings are essentially trying to find her a new home. Kelsey Plum has also been called by Vegas, and I don't know what's happening there. Whether maybe Kelsey Plum is looking to go somewhere else at any point, but I haven't heard anything in that space at the moment. But yeah, so Satu basically announced that during a conference for the Unrivaled 3x3 lead, which I think was a little sad that she's announced it there. I think it would have been better for the Wings and her fans if she maybe did a little video and announced it, to the fans directly. It's going to be her first real free agency. So she did sign a restricted free agent deal last offseason, a 1-year extension for almost $200,000 in Jan. And I guess that wasn't enough for her. She averaged 17.9 points, 6.4 rebounds, and 5 assists in 15 games because she was largely injured with a shoulder. So I don't think you can really blame the team's performance with the amount of time she was out. She reached the semifinals the year before that. So yeah, with the roster building and with Paige coming in, I really don't know why she would leave, but I expect that maybe it's less to do with the Dallas Wings and the roster construction, but maybe more to do with the enticing nature of maybe going somewhere new, trying to get a ring somewhere, maybe bigger market, or maybe to Caitlin in Indiana to play with somebody like that. So yeah, that's kind of the idea at the moment. There's some rumors also with that Indiana kind of Fever line of things that maybe that could be in exchange for Nalissa Smith. Now, Nalissa Smith is great, but I don't think that it's somebody that the Dallas Wings should really go after. I mean, I know she can be a high volume scoring, but you already kind of have a Rike to do that from the guard position. If you also have Paige, I don't really know that you need Nalissa, because Nalissa's kind of output's gone down since Caitlin joined. The Indiana Fever. So we'll see how that goes. Nalissa Smith has signed a 3-year, $226,000 contract with the Fever in 2022. So she has kind of 1 year remaining on that deal, which is not too bad. I guess you could say that's an expiring contract. And yeah, like I said before, the New York Liberty could also be another potential organization that she could be destined to work. But those are essentially the big deals kind of that we're looking at the moment is that trade between the Fever and Dallas for Satu, and we'll see what else kind of the new year brings. Yeah, I guess that's kind of it in terms of the free agency side of things. We've dealt with the draft lottery, of course, given a quick look back on the WNBA finals, but free agency coming up, and also the 3x3 unrivaled league, which I will be covering. Kind of information and other news are probably going to be on the slimmer side of things for the WNBA for a while. So I will cover the 3x3 league, maybe any sort of other news I get about WNBA or WNBA players. Anything interesting I'll cover on some of our shorter episodes, up to that 30-minute mark, which is where ideally would like to kind of finish these episodes at. And let me know what else you want to hear more of. Like I said, I'd love to do some other sports podcasts, which I will be working on. And if you want to hear of anything in particular, anything women's basketball focused, if you want me to cover some other leagues around the world, maybe give you some other context of players and things going on. I absolutely love everything WNBA. I love everything women's sport and sport in general. So whatever you want me to cover, make sure you subscribe to the podcast anywhere that you can find it. Comment, interact, and subscribe also to that WNBA podcast on X, formerly known as Twitter. And I'll hopefully now in the new year get onto that more and cover some and share some more things WNBA related. Give some more of my own opinions, maybe add in some fantasy stuff here or there. Maybe invite some other people onto the podcast if you'd like to see someone join the podcast. I know some people in the fantasy world that might want to join. If anyone out there would like to know more about WNBA fantasy, we could work on that together. I know some in the NBA fantasy world, but maybe we could come together and kind of work out what happens in the WNBA fantasy world and things like that. Could also invite on some guests, maybe make some things happen. I know of a few female sports people in the industry, not so much obviously in the WNBA side of things because I'm still new. I'm not a reporter or anything like that. I'd love to do some writing in the future, but this is just a side project, so I'm not plugged in. I'm not reporting as anyone with a press pass, anything like that. I just like talking about the league, and if I can make some connections in the future, if anyone knows anyone out there, if any WNBA players that might see this, come across this, anyone who knows any WNBA players, executives, coaches, women's sports people in general, let me know, and I can bring them on and we can have a chat and talk about whatever we feel like. So with that, I'd like to bring this to an end. Again, subscribe, comment on all your podcasting networks. It's very helpful. I love to talk about this, and hopefully you guys can join in. We can build a bit of a community, and just remember to to kick off 2025 on a high, and hopefully everyone is staying safe and healthy out there. And with that in mind, I'll see you on the next episode of that WNBA podcast. Thank you.